Okay, so in this video, we are going to demonstrate modeling division of fractions and mixed numbers using pattern blocks. And we're going to use these pattern blocks. We have a hexagon, a trapezoid, a rhombus, and a triangle. And we're going to try to model these division problems. Our first problem is 2/3 divided by 1/6. So I'm going to use a hexagon to represent the whole. And I need to think about if this is the whole, then this is 2/3. And the question I'm asking is, how many 1/6 are there in 2/3? Right, 2/3 divided by 1/6 is the same as how many 1/6 are there in 2/3? Well, if the hexagon's the whole, then a triangle represents 1/6. And I want to figure out how many triangles it takes to make 2/3. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know that I could replace my 2/3 with these 4 triangles. So how many 1/6 are there? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. So the answer is 4. Okay, so our next problem is 5 1/2 divided by 2. And again, I'm going to let the hexagon represent a whole. So I need 5 1/2. And it's divided by 2. So how many groups of 2 are there in 5 1/2? So I have one group of 2, 2 groups of 2, and then I have a partial group. So I have 1, 2 plus some amount, but I need to figure out how much this is. Okay, so here's one group of 2, here's 2 groups of 2. This is, I can replace this in this way. And so now I have 1, 2, 3 trapezoids. It would take 4 trapezoids to make a whole, right? So this is 3/4 of a group of 2. So I have 1, 2, and 3/4 is my answer. We're going to demonstrate 4 1/3 divided by 1/2. And again, I'm going to make my hexagon the whole. So I need to start with 4 1/3. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is 1/3 of a whole, because remember the whole is the hexagon. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1/3. And the question is, how many halves are in 4 1/3? So I can take my hexagons and replace them with trapezoids. Right, so I'm just going to replace all of my hexagons with trapezoids. And then, again, the question I'm answering is, how many halves are there in 4 1/3? So I still have 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes, plus a third. And how many halves are there in this? So I can think of it as just taking away half. I have 1/2, another half, another one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 halves. So there are 8 halves in 4 1/3 plus this piece left over. And I have to figure out how much of a half is this, right? Because the question is, how many halves are in 4 1/3? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 halves plus a part of a half. This is 2/3 of a half. So my answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 2/3. We're going to model 3 1/2 divided by 2/3. So again, I'm going to use a hexagon as a whole. So I need to start out with 3 1/2. And the question I'm trying to answer is, how many 2/3 are there in 3 1/2? Since a blue piece represents a third of a hexagon, I'm going to replace all of my hexagons with 3 blue pieces. So the question is, how many 2/3 are there here? So I have 2/3, I have another 2/3, 3 2/3, here's another 2/3, and then I'm left with these pieces. And I need to determine how much is this of 2/3. I could replace my trapezoid with a rhombus and a triangle. And I can make another 2/3. So I have 1 2/3, 2 2/3, 3 2/3, 4 2/3, 5 2/3, plus a triangle. And I need to determine how much of a 2/3 is this triangle. I can fit 4 of these on here. So this is 1/4. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups of 2/3 plus 1/4 of a group of 2/3. So my answer is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 1/4.